This is the very first episode of Surf Geeks, and today we're going to talk about earplugs. On this episode, we'll look into different types of earplugs to help you choose what's right for you. We'll also take some time to review the recently released third version of earplugs. Those are, for me, the best choice, and we'll see why. So there are basically two main types of earplugs. You have the vented version of earplugs and the non-vented. Usually you use the non-vented if you have a eardrum perforation or some kind of damage that allows water to get past your eardrum, and in those cases you want to use a non-vented earplug to prevent the water from coming in at all. Otherwise it will channel through and there will be nothing providing a resistance or a pressure resistance between your eardrum and the plug. It's a bit dangerous for you to use non-vented earplugs if you don't have eardrum perforation, because it may cause eardrum perforation. Why? Because it works as a pressure plug. If you get some kind of impact on your ear, it will push air into your eardrum and pop it. So for most of us who don't have eardrum perforation and who just need a earplug that will prevent water from coming in and still allow for pressure to be released when you're underwater, the vented version of earplugs is much better. Silicone earplugs and foam earplugs are just two examples of non-vented earplugs. These are not a great option for surfing because they don't allow you to restore the pressure in your ears. Some swimming earplugs are also not vented. So we have covered the non-vented earplugs. So let's look at the vented version of earplugs. This is the first vented earplug that I've ever used. These are Dox Pro plugs. There's a vented version and a non-vented version. The non-vented version is red and the vented version is transparent. So if you look closely, these have, let me see if I can focus on the image. Yep. So these have a tiny hole on the tip of the earplug, and this allows the pressure to be released through that hole. These were really comfortable and they last a long time. These that you can see here, they're probably more than 10 years old. I haven't used them all that much since the SurfEars have come out, but these are a really good option, and they're low cost. If you compare them to modern earplugs, these are really low cost. I usually keep them around, so if for some reason I lose my usual plugs, these are a good second option. So right here we have all three generations of SurfEars, and let's start with the cases. I don't have the first generation case because the salt got into the metal parts and it corroded and got destroyed. So I have the second generation, which is also it also has some metal parts that are starting to become a little bit rusty, and the zipper doesn't run as it used to. But these are very, very good compared to the first generation. It lasts a lot longer. The third generation is really much better because there's no zipper, and the only metal part is the hook that you can use to attach this to your surfboard bag or to your backpack, whatever. And these are silicone, they're flexible. There's a magnet on top that keeps it closed, and they're really good. There's another advantage. These are perforated in the back so that the plugs, when you keep them, they're usually wet and they will dry. And this is also good if you want to wash them. It's always a good idea to rinse your earplugs after surfing, and I'll explain why in a while. but it's always good to rinse them with fresh water, and this allows the water to come out. So it's a really good tool. It's not just a case, it's really good to keep your earplugs in the best shape possible. Right here we have the first generation. As you can see, the first generation and the second generation, these came with 3 sizes that you can change, and for me the medium size was always a good fit. But if you notice, there's a small difference between sizes here, and the same happens with the second generation. On the third generation you have 4 different sizes. The smaller one I assume is for kids, because these are really small, and I think there's a bigger difference between sizes, and they're really better. If you use the medium and the large on the second generation or the first generation, you might have trouble deciding which one is a really good fit for you. But on these, it's really clear if they don't fit well, you will notice. How will you notice? Well, basically, if you use a plug that is too large, your ability to hear what's going on around you is going to be reduced, because these will take too much space in your ear, and you will have trouble listening. So for me, the medium size is perfect. So this is how you put it in. It's really easy. Make sure that you don't push too hard on the membrane, because you might damage it. The third generation SurfEars, they are color coded, so it's easy for you to understand which one is the left and the right. The left is red, the right is blue, and this makes it a lot easier for you to get them on when you're in the water or when you're getting in. Let's talk a little bit about what makes SurfEars different. There's a small membrane on the outside of SurfEars, and this is not really a normal membrane. This is a micro-perforated membrane, so it's like a mesh that allows air to circulate, and this also allows you to capture sound a lot better than with regular earplugs. And if you compare these with these, the only thing allowing for air to circulate on the Dox Pro plugs is a tiny hole, and if something gets into that hole, your ability to listen to your surroundings is immediately stopped. There's one thing that you should keep in mind regarding your SurfEars. You should always rinse them with fresh water after you surf, because the mesh, so the salt water that gets into the mesh will when it dries, it will leave salt crystals in the small openings in the mesh. So you should rinse this with warm water so that all those crystals come out and don't build up. If they do, the flexibility of the mesh and the permeability of the mesh to sound and to air will be compromised, and you will ruin it. On the first generation, I actually tried to clean them with alcohol, and the mesh came out. So don't do that. In a nutshell, what I feel when I use the first generation and the second generation is that I get a better performance. I can hear better when using these compared to Dox Pro plugs or regular swimming plugs. But there's a tremendous difference between first generation, second generation, and the third generation. So all this stuff is put aside when you get these. The third generation is much better in terms of how much it allows you to capture in terms of sound. The first time I used these, I got kind of scared because the swell was big, the waves were big, and I couldn't remember the sound of a breaking wave. And with these, I could capture the full experience. and I couldn't remember how tremendous that was. Okay guys, that's it. I hope this video was helpful for you, and good surf.